Blessings everyone. So here we are for the third episode of Empty, Empty, Happy, Happy. Why empty, empty? We can clear our narratives, clear our stories, clear our mind, so then we can be available for the best moment there ever's been. This moment now. Happy, happy. And today we have got a treat. We're not just in my favorite place, Jasri Beach, doing a deep dive into the elements on the east coast of Bali, but we've also got an alive audience. So, Selamat sore, good afternoon. And second best news is my colleague today, dear friend, once student, beautiful human, cantik, beautiful human, is Dr. Sally Taylor. Welcome, Sally.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks, guys.
So yeah, Sal, everyone here loves you. So what's your day been like today, Sal?
My day has been awesome. We've been wrapping up the elements a little bit and then starting to deep dive into diagnosis and watching how the elements play out in each one of us in our own beautiful nuances.
Great.
So it's been a good day.
Well, I felt that would be a really great way to run this podcast, is that we start to have a good look at the 5 elements and see how they play out in our daily lives, how they can inflate our life, how we can bring those elements alive in the way that we think, the ways that we move, the food that we eat, the relationships that we have. So that's where we're going to dive today, and what a better place to do it than Bali with the 5 elements. So in Bali, if you haven't been here before, we are nourished by this incredible earth that we're sitting around. We are full of, I think, at least 3 ceremonies every day into the metal element. I'm sitting here right now watching the ocean come in. There's a surf about maybe 50 meters away from me. We're sitting in a coconut forest, hello wood element, and there are flowers everywhere. So hello to the fire element. So here we go, the 5 elements in daily life. Before we jump into that, Sal, I think all the audience would like to know, and I think the listeners would like to know a little bit about early Sally Taylor. What got you into that journey of being a doctor of acupuncture, which is all about the 5 elements?
Well, I'll keep it short, but I always wanted to be a doctor, and I was always interested in the medical system and the body, and biology and science really spoke to me, especially physics, because it was like this outer world mysticism. But it was really just the luck of doing some work experience with my best friend when I was 17 at a naturopath's clinic. And I knew nothing about naturopathy, and I just stuck stickers on bottles. And it wasn't until he spoke about a rosebud and all of the therapeutic effects of a rosebud did my whole world shift.
Wow.
Yeah, so I moved into naturopathy, and I just chose Chinese medicine as an elective because it was something completely different, something I've never heard about before. And it was really the poetry and the perspective on life and health that rung me in. And I was over the world of science and enzymes and zooming all the way in till I couldn't really see anything anymore. And yeah, it really pulled me out into this wider perspective. And again, my whole life just shifted, and I followed that and have been following it ever since.
So 19, 20 years old, into acupuncture school.
Yeah, straight. Well, I started studying when I was 18 in 2009.
Wow, great.
Yeah.
So, and those that have been around Sally, the people in front of me will know she not just only teaches it, she lives it. She's incredibly passionate about it. For the listeners, Sally, a little bit, because we see the 5 elements show up in 2 different models. So for some clarity, the 5 element model that you and I are passionate about, which is based around yin and yang, and the 5 element model that others may be studying or have an association with, the 5 element model of Ayurveda or yoga. What are the two differences between those two models? How would you describe that to a layperson?
Oh, I'd say like in a lot of ways they're similar because they're using what's around us to kind of create personalities or archetypes or categories. I find with Chinese medicine, we're very much in the world of qi or the world of energy. So for us, compared to a lot of other traditional medicines, we're really interested in the mind-body-spirit connection and how aspects of the mind and our emotions, which really is energy, just kind of changed from, you know, a tense energy to an open energy, for instance, and how that kind of relays throughout the body. And with the Chinese medical 5-element system, we have two main relationship styles that we focus on. And that's the parent-child relationship where they all create each other and give each other purpose. And then we've got the controlling cycle, which is more about grandparents, grandchildren, and how usually the psycho-emotional stuff can really get passed through the body from one system to the other. And it's really an integrated way.
So both systems very interconnected, both systems really passionate about the holistic perspective that we do life, but the Chinese medicine system really turning up the volume on the emotional body, the way it plays out in the body and the spirit, and this deep web, how elements play off each other, syncing around this whole dance between yin and yang, or night and day. So good to go there. That's where we're going to go. And I felt like it would be amazing in this episode if we could unpack each one of these elements to see how it plays out in your life, how you see the element come up in life with your clients, like problems that come up, and what are some things that we could do out there in the world to bring that element alive, to, I would say, make our life more buoyant, more vital, which everyone's put their hand up for. So yes, their hands up for. So I think I remember meeting you, Sal, at the Zenthai Centre at Nindari, and you were definitely a fireball. A passionate ball of energy, and I couldn't fit her into the class, but something said to me, watching you radiate so much joy and passion, that I've got no choice. This person has to be in the class. And I'm so glad I made that choice, because I know from being a student, we've become colleagues and dear friends. And I'm always inspired, not just by what you do and how you share, but the joy and love you have for this incredible art. So let's look at the earth element. Like I said, we're sitting in Mother Bali. I think I just get nourished by looking around. So the earth element for you, Sal, how does it play out in your life, the earth element in your life?
In my life, well, being such a fireball, often my earth element, earth being the child of fire, usually gets a beating sometimes. And for me, it's generally the one that'll move out of balance the easiest. In relation to my fire. And so with me, it moves in the way of sometimes being ungrounded and really quite busy in my mind. I wouldn't say scattered, it's just that there's so many thoughts and so many things happening. And with that, then it's quite hard to focus on one particular thing at a time. And usually when that happens, it can kind of move into a state of worry. And like, oh, I'm worried as what thought should I follow? What action should I do? And sometimes, it just ends up, for me, this kind of endless mental churning where I'm kind of overthinking things, trying to figure things out, and not really allowing this full sense of stillness and quietness to come back into my mind and into my center. So usually that's how it plays out in an imbalanced way for me. But because I've noticed that a lot throughout the years, ever since really our course, or doing the course with you, because you brought the elements alive for me, I'm really a lot more aware about how I nourish myself. And it's not just in what foods I choose to eat at particular times in the day, but it's also how I eat those foods, what I combine them with, and being really aware of what I'm doing while I'm eating, what I'm thinking. But now, you know, with this world, we've moved into consumption that goes beyond what we put into our body and now into our mind. And I'm noticing now I've got to be really, really conscious of the thoughts or the things that I'm consuming, generally off my phone, and the information that I allow to become a part of me. So I've been watching my consumption, not only in food, but also in information, because the earth element is very much about the mind and the thinking mind. So I've definitely felt if I'm eating, you know, processed foods, and I do love chocolate, and that is my biggest thing. I love sweet foods, and that's often a sign my earth element's a bit out of balance. But yeah, just watching what I'm consuming and making sure that it feels balanced and aligned with what I actually need.
Yeah. Yeah, I really love this thing that you're bringing home there, of that when we talk about consumption, when we talk about digestion, we're not only talking about food, we're talking about information, all the externals out there we're consuming and digesting every minute of the day. And how do we do that in a effective way? I like this idea of an earth monkey, because the monkey is a very intelligent creature, but if you don't keep it in check, like you've just said, if you don't keep that earth monkey in check, it can be quite erratic. It can worry, it can have its mind jumping from boom, 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 and then we can have the monkey mind. I love that what you're saying. And then you've been seeing clients like I have. I've been seeing clients for probably 25 years now and teaching lots of students. Where would you say that the earth element commonly shows up out of balance with your clients and with the people that you see?
Look, it's most commonly in the mind, this worry and overthinking, and, oh, did I do that right? Or should I do this? And, you know, this constant going over. And I usually see it start there. I do see a lot of clients with digestive issues, and it's usually just like the bloating, or most of the thing I see is actually lack of appetite and people not fueling themselves with good food, especially in the morning. Like I see so many people who, you know, put their earth element out of balance really by having their coffee and their stimulants in the morning and jumping straight into action, without actually taking that time of slowness, stillness in the morning, and that grounding nourishment that comes from having breakfast.
Yeah.
So I'd say those two play out the most. Great. And, you know, that goes hand in hand with, I think, a story we're all quite familiar with this self-nourishment of knowing I'm enough just as I am, and I don't have to be anybody else to be great. I see that a lot, especially these days in the clinic. It's a big story that sets people off balance and into a erratic state, like the monkey, just reaching for bananas or sweet things to kind of bring them back to home.
Yeah, the I'm not enough pandemic. Yeah, it's a very prevalent mental story, and then it plays into so many areas of poor choices with food and routine. So that's great. I hear that. And then if we stay in that earth element one more fraction of time, what would be, say, 2 or 3 take-homes that you would give people, just to, I say, this is what you can really do to harness the earth element. I heard the Hakuna Matata means no worries. Anything else, you know, like, because we can say, well, no worries. How do we build no worries? How do we build more stability in our lives if we haven't got a home and we haven't got money and we haven't got those resources around us that give us a sense of belonging? How do we get some sort of Hakuna Matata in our life?
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah.
I say sometimes it's easier to start with the physical.
Yep.
And what I would say to my clients is start to create like a routine.
A routine.
And it's got to be nourishing.
Yep.
you know, not a strict routine where I've got to do this and cut this away, like, you know, and really questioning them. And it's like, what really nourishes you?
Yeah.
So getting them in a good routine of nourishment, and that's generally a regular breakfast, lunch and dinner, and really good warm foods. Well cooked foods that are the closest to nature as possible. So the more processed a food, the less we can process things. Yeah, because it's like the digestion's already been done for you, so you don't have to digest processed foods. So I say eat good, organic, close to nature foods, and make sure in the morning you've just got that moment of quietness and stillness, and maybe breakfast is your moment of landing, because it's a really big, busy world out there, and it's really easy to get trapped in all emotion of pretty much overthinking and worry.
There's some great take homes there. I'm hearing routine, good choices with food, warm food. I really like that. And this breakfast, this 7 to 11, which is our earth time, making it the time for you to be nourished. Great reminders for us all. Usually the time we're rushing around, destroying the earth element. Thank you for that, Sal. So then if we move around, we're going around the 5 element cycle. We've moved from there. We're going to go to, if you can say, its child, which is the metal element. So let's go back to a little bit of self-reflection with you and the metal element.
It took me a really long time to connect with the metal element. I think probably because it's the weakest in me. I see it come out definitely in that scientific mind of mine, where I want to get the precise answer, and I want to, you know, get that prestige of knowing what the precise answer is, and that real sense of, precision, basically. And it doesn't really show up in my life. I'm quite messy. In life, you know, I don't brush my hair very often. I might clean my room once a week or fortnight, maybe. But when it comes to my notes and writing out information, it's very precise, structured, because that's what's really important for me. For me, getting information, especially around this stuff, is almost like a ritual and a ceremony. And I think because it brings me so alive, it's very sacred to me, this stuff. So when I kind of deal with that information, I deal with it in a sacred way. And I have a lot of methodical ways of taking my notes to make sure it's something pleasing to come back to. I could say I bring a little bit of ritual in my life with my morning cacao. And tarot cards and things. And I probably see it the most in the clinic when I'm in that more sharper mind, and I really have to start discerning, you know, what's useful information, what's not, and to pierce really the roots of someone's imbalances or disease, and get really precise with what's necessary and not necessary. Yeah,
it's great to really hear how these elements come alive in so many parts of our life. And I'm exactly with you on that. I rarely brush my hair. My clothes are everywhere, but even my notes are messy as well. So I'm running behind you.
Oh, you got the ritual down
I
pat.
do love ritual. I definitely bow down to all the sacredness in my day. So I do love my sacredness, And then again, if we come back, and the metal element, what a thing in this time of we're really getting called to do ceremony and do ritual and honor maybe some of those essential parts of living. Where do you see it commonly show up in imbalances with people around you, with your clients and your friends and your students? Where do you see common imbalances here?
Common imbalance, I mean, mostly you'll see it in the physical. In clients, and it's usually constipation, diarrhea, these kind of imbalances with the bowels. And I mean, when you start talking to those kind of people, like the physical really screams out, but getting to know those clients more and more, you often hear them talking about things that happened a really long time ago. And, you know, their life has changed, but there's a real holding on to something in the past. And I often see people like that. It's a big thing for them to to actually let go or stop holding grudges and to move out of the past and back into the moment. I see that a lot with those kind of clients. And actually more and more these days, smoking has become a big thing because, you know, there's a lot of need to, I guess, for people close off because there's so much noise out there. And, you know, we're sensitive beings. We can feel everything. And so really that feeling and being overstimulated by so much, we stop feeling our emotions. And most people I've seen turn to smoking, whether it's cigarettes or vapes or whatever people get their hands on. But it's to kind of facilitate the shutting down of the emotional maturity and being able to feel our emotions without becoming them.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if we zoom out, we should have some concern here. We're chronically depressed as Westerners. It's the amount of depressed people in our society these days is quite alarming, and there's this quite dangerous form of alienation happen. So it's really out there, and am I loving to see the amount of breathwork teachers, breathwork studios, people using this breathwork to try and bring us into a bigger reality that we may be closing off into. So we forget that we actually, a lot of us aren't breathing properly. And can we bring the breath in, nose, inhale, exhale, can we bring it in to bring us into, I would say, a more real part of living, real part, not a closed part. So other than breath work, I see that, you know, teaching people how to breathe. What other things could we encourage people to jump into to look after this player, this metal element imbalance, other than breath work?
Other than breath work, I would say getting comfortable with your emotions. And by doing that, it's like, making them not who you are. And I even sometimes coach clients, and it's like, instead of saying, I feel sad, just like, oh, I'm experiencing sadness. Because we get so stuck with the identity. And again, you see it in the wellness world. People's illness or their imbalance really becomes a part of their identity. And it's, you know, just softly reminding people that we're so much more than, you know, what we think we are and who we say that we are. And to really start opening up that curiosity around, you know, emotions and these charges that run through us, and start to express things. And, you know, it's not easy to just go from depressed to expressing joy or grief or things openly. But, you know, even just to start to speak up a little bit, or finding ways that they like to express, and really kind of charging and cheering them on that, I would say, one of the good take homes. And
I really love that. On that, I think it's such a powerful topic. I feel like, you know, maybe education systems could start to really, is it possible to bring in emotional maturity as a subject? So we are able to talk about emotions and not identifying with them. You know what, I'm experiencing anger. Doesn't make me an angry person. I'm experiencing depression. It doesn't make me a depressed person, because then we have this identity associated with it. Well, I'm not going to talk about it. And it's very well known, very well read, that when you make something mentionable, it's manageable. And maybe when we can't talk about it, when we can't share it, we don't have the emotional maturity, we go down a slippery slope. So I really feel it's not really an option in this world where we're actually moving into a very, very chaotic and quite uncertain future, that feelings need to be expressed. And as wise elders and as teachers and healers, we all have to be part of that, especially for our young children. Anything, we've got breathwork, we've got emotional maturity.
And like, I was just thinking the ritual. And again, it doesn't have to be, you know, the big show of everything. You can make a ritual around your cup of tea. You can make a ritual around feeling your emotions, you know. Grief is a big one for the metal element. And in a lot of other work I've done, we talk about grief altars. And it's like, you know, starting to channel that emotion into a ritual so it can become out of the body and into the body. And I'd say that would be a big one. But just having these moments of going, yeah, even just going, this is really sacred to me. I'm going to have that space around that and treat it as sacred.
I love that.
Yeah. And if you think about the bowels, you know, have good fiber, eat all your veggies because that's what keeps things moving.
Yeah.
Mostly. And just get curious around what's getting stuck in the body. Because, you know, if we go back, most of those guys who are constipated in the body, constipated in the mind and stuck in the past.
Yeah, my spiritual teacher has shared with me quite a few times. It's quite inspiring. It's very simple, less of this closed fist and more of this an open palm. And we say, well, how do I do from this closed fist? Because I need to, you know, this is where I feel safe to do this. It's quite challenging. And then maybe that is okay. That is a ritual. So imagine, you know, by putting this intention into this prayer or into this flower or into this bucket or into this mantra, I'm going to allow myself to do that, this open palm. And I don't know one person in this world that doesn't want to be free. I don't know one person in this world that wants to carry a backpack their entire life, but we do. So yeah, I feel ritual is powerful. I know that the Balinese, it's very, very, very important in their life that they are always surrendering or giving it up or offering to something bigger than them. So, thank you. Metal. And I'm hearing the surf. Maybe you can hear the surf. I'm looking at the surf. Yeah, I'm being distracted by the surf. I love the surf. Yeah. So if we go into the water cell, you can say it's the seed of the 5 elements. So I love this idea in the 5 elements in Chinese medicine. They remind us when we can look at it through mental states, emotional states, issues, feelings, and then it stops moving into the tissue. So then we move it, if we can actually address it in this, we call it the software, it doesn't become an issue in the hardware. When it starts moving down the hardware, it starts moving into bones, starts to move into tumors, starts to move into real deep, sometimes terminal ailments. It's quite hard to deal with. How do we look at it in that software state? And I feel that this Chinese medicine poetry, which has been such a dear gift to me, that's where it's from. I can, wow, I've got this issue that I'm dealing with. I'm going to deal with it while it's in the software state, and then we can move it before it gets into a hardware. Much more effective and more simple way to deal with it.
Much more simple.
Yeah. So water element, how do you like your water? You feel a bit watery. You've got lots of creativity.
I'm a bit watery. Yeah. I've got creativity. I feel like Chinese medicine in a lot of ways can be very creative. You know, the way you meet people and, you know, the points and the things that you have to change. But gosh, creativity, I mean, I do like drawing and I like to sing. I don't do it that often because I'm probably more in my metal mind of just studying and information. How else does it come up? I mean, I drink a lot of water and I think that's good. And I think probably that I like to move away from tension. I like that freedom in my body and to feel loose and to feel strong. Like I like to feel like I'm capable of anything in case anything happens. Might be a bit of a fear-based thing, but how else does the water...
I think I'll be echoing all this audience. You're very intelligent. How old are you?
I'm 35.
35. You've got lots and lots of encyclopedias in that 35-year-old brain. She's quite clever, isn't she? I go, wow, how does she retain all that information? So, yeah, I think that there's a lot of intelligence there. Yeah. And also your capacity to, I know it's wood element as well, but you're able to effortlessly move with what's showing up.
Thank you. It's a nice reflection. It's nice to learn about yourself in the podcast.
And where do you, and I don't know, I'll let you speak, but I see the water element, wow, I see it really come up big time. I rarely treat a client that hasn't got some sort of weakness there in that adrenal area, because when we go to the water element, we're more talking, all these elements we're talking about organs, and the organ that we're talking about today is the kidneys and the adrenals, the two organs that I would say get the most taxed through our Western lives of burning the candle at both ends. So where else, well, what's your insight into that? Kidney, adrenal fatigue, where the water element shows up as an imbalance?
Yeah, so the water element, like you said, it's our seed, it's the root. So in Chinese medicine, they're really the organs you want to take the best care of, because they're going to really decide whether you live a long, long life and you live slow and die old, or if you live fast and die young. But the way we run our society is massively adrenally charged. We're in sympathetic nervous system all the time, most people, because we celebrate achievements, we celebrate action, and we're not really good at celebrating rest. You know, the amount of clients that I see come in and I say, oh, what did you do on the weekend? Oh, you know what, I was really, really lazy and I did nothing. And a lot of the time it's like, hey, well, what do you do for the rest of the 5 days? Oh, I work 50-hour weeks. And it's like, so do you really think it's lazy to do nothing on the weekend? Or do you think it was just relaxing? You know, and heaps of people, we're trained to think if we're not constantly active or productive or doing, then we are lazy. And it's become a really big kind of stigma in our Western world. You know, oh, you see someone on a, Monday midday at the beach, it's like, why aren't they at work? Oh, those lazy buggers. Excuse my language. So I see it all the time because we're just driving all the time, we're pretty much expected to be on 24/8, I say. You know, they want an extra day out of us each week, 24/8. So I see so many people adrenally taxed because the nervous system is always, I'm trying to change that. Our stimulation system is always on, and mostly in a nervous state, which just eats up life force because, most people are out there living like something's going to kill them if it's the deadline or, disappointing the boss or things like that. There's this real survival instinct pulse running through the Western world. And I mean, when you look at it compared to all of the other places in the world, we have so much abundance everywhere, but we've closed ourselves off to that sense of vitality and abundance from nature. And, we're just eating it up and churning it. It's a really unsustainable world that we live in. So I see that in most clients. Most people will have a low kidney energy. And once that starts to move into the hardware, then we see lots of things like back pain, knee issues, tightness in the back of the legs. And that's usually what I'll see in those guys.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? We think that the harder we work, the more we push, the more we drive, the more we get done, and the more successful and abundant we will be. But if we actually look through the rearview mirror, we'll see when we step out of that pattern, we actually get more done. Yeah, we start to become people that involve more in quality than quantity. So yeah, that's interesting to notice that. I noticed in COVID that people went, wow, they were forced to stop. And the big thing I heard lots of people saying, wow, I'm doing half the amount of things I usually do, but I'm getting a lot more done because they just changed the way that they were doing it. So very interesting concept. I noticed when I have a retreat and zoom out and have rest and have reflection, I can reorientate patterns and I step back in. It's far more productive, but we sometimes find it hard to jump off the horse. There's another topic I'd like to just jump into while we're on this one, because I think many of the listeners will be interested in this, and that's this issue about fertility and reproduction. because I'm in my sixth decade now. When my friends were going through that 25, 30, 35, we were all worried about no one, not getting pregnant. It was so easy. Everyone was falling pregnant so easily. Gaia fell pregnant 2 months after I met her. So it happened very quickly. And it was always that, wow, be very careful. It very easily happens. And I look at a lot of my 30-year-old students and friends in that more age that are wanting to fall pregnant, or are looking for fertility, are having trouble doing, and it's having trouble falling pregnant now, and they're really working hard to do it. And is there something in between what's happening in the world that why that's happening? Do you feel?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, but some people that are here and like talking about babies and things, there's a lot of fear around it because there's a lot of scarcity mindset in our world. And it's like, oh God, but children are so expensive, and oh, what happens if this happens? And, like back in the day, lots of births were very successful. A lot of them weren't, but it was just a part of life. And now there's a really big fear story around birth and fertility. But I would say as well, it's this adrenal tax. And like if your stimulation system, that central nervous system, that's a blueprint of the energy that's moving through your body. If you're in a constant state of survival, the body is not going to accept a pregnancy because you're not safe. And that's how intelligent our systems are. If we're not in a state of full safety and calmness and stillness, then our body isn't going to feel safe to bring a child in, because that's another thing to worry about and look after. And really, a lot of our biology is about the new generations and what are we going to bring forward. And again, with the adrenal way that we live our life, what we call our jing, which is our essence or our potential, and these deep reserves, you could say it's kind of like DNA and genetics, or maybe telomeres if you want to go into that story. But it's getting degraded more quickly, and then we don't have that real essence of life and vitality to create a new life, because it's a big thing to create life. And because we're draining ourselves so much, we don't have that energy to fully bring in and support a pregnancy. And look, to be honest, most of the time I'd say it's the survival, because a lot of doctors and will say if someone's trying to get pregnant and their hormones are pretty good, bloods are good, just say go on a holiday. Most women get pregnant on holidays these days because they're finally relaxed. The amount of people, oh, I'm trying to get pregnant. We're trying really hard. And it's like, life and connection and love is beautiful. And it's like we're turning it into a chore. And so I remind my clients as well, go on a holiday. Come back to the love that you share with that person and create from that space. If you create from a space of stress, you're not going to create, your greatest work. So I would say, it's a lot about this stress system and really replenishing the self first, because, in Chinese medicine, we say, your jing or your essence, whatever you've got, you'll pass on to your children. And if you keep using it up on, partying, staying up late, never sleeping, working 50, 70 hours a week, you're not giving a lot of essence to the new generations. And I think that's maybe why we're seeing a lot more illness in younger people, because we don't have that substance anymore. Yeah,
I hear that. So some good take homes what I'm hearing from you is actually this: let's have more holidays.
Yes.
This takes stress out of our life for somehow, like the stressful life. And I really get it. There is an uncertain future for children, and that does put a lot of background noise. Do I want to bring children into this world about something I don't really know is going to be here, with 8.6 billion people trying to be pushed into one space? So I hear that. And I hear these telomere story. I've heard through a lot of dear friends that are right into substance medicine that quality water is so important.
So important. So
We
important.
must bring that one home. Quality water, holidays, and no stress.
No stress. Have a restful state of mind and a restful state
I
of
like that.
being,
Okay.
and make sure you drink really good, clean water.
We'll keep moving because I like to give these guys in our live audience a chance to talk to you and bring it out as well. So we've got 2 more elements to go, and then the woody element. We're in a coconut forest. I know there's wood in you, it's wood in me. We're here as leaders. Obviously, we are wood element, liver and gallbladder organs. How does it show up for you?
Yeah, wood element shows up for me throughout my life. I can get pretty driven, and in my younger years was very competitive, mostly in sport. And yeah, I was training every single day, pretty much 11 months of the year. And when I went on holidays, I'd ski and do exercise the whole entire time. So yeah, it shows up in my drive and in that action of really going, okay, I now know what my goal is, and to really drive forward towards that. I think that shows up for me. If you ask my mum when I was younger, it definitely showed up with tantrums and a bit of anger and frustration, but I feel like I've brought in a lot more creativity and just understanding and knowing, you know, when I've got that real energy, you know, to start pulsing it towards something that has a lot of meaning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the real rah energy can be used really well. How do we channel it? And in clients, where do you see this show up in a lot of clients other than just headaches and sore eyes?
Yeah, look, I see it a lot in clients. It kind of goes back into that overworking story.
Yep.
And that over striving, and it's like, oh, and especially now we've got so many options, and it's like, oh, well, I'm going to work hard all day, and then I've got to go to this bar, and then I've got to go to this party, and then I've got to do this workshop. So it's great because it's very driven, but I do see a lot of people in that, and look, it creates tension. So I see it in the joints, I see it in the physical body, but I also see it in the mind. And often what we do when we feel tense, we go to something to relax us, and generally that can be alcohol, recreational substances and things like that. So depends on the community you're working with, but generally are reliant on substances to either relax or stimulate. I see in a lot of woody people. Yeah.
And the liver's having to deal with that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I see that too. I also see this Thich Nhat Hanh saying to his followers, his teachers, one of his greatest lines. It's like a mantra in the back of my head. Be careful of habit energy. Be careful of getting caught in the same habits, because then you can just be a rehearsal of what happened a decade before or 2 decades before, and you don't get to live this full, free life, which has so much possibility.
Yeah.
So yeah, watch the habit energy, watch our drivenness. Yeah. Anything else for a wood element that's out of balance?
Out of balance. Look, yeah, the liver wants freedom.
It wants freedom.
We want to flow freely, and
Yeah.
we want to flow freely with life and what it brings us.
Yeah.
So, you know, don't pack things too full. Like, give space for magic to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we miss it by being, you know, so booked out, so driven. So creating that space for freedom. And what was the question? Well, how else do I see it?
Yeah, we had a few there. We had no habit energy, or we sort of like watch those substances, that how they're just used to, addictions are used to free ourselves of tension. Can we have other ways to free ourselves of tension? Like
Body work.
body work?
Yes.
Dancing?
Body work, dancing, you know, that, and it kind of comes, you know, water is the mother of wood. So that creative expression in whatever way that is for you.
Beautiful.
You know, for me, when I was younger, it was running.
Yep.
And that got rid of that tension, and I could be creative, and it moved into different things. So yeah, having that space to be creative and really think, like, how can I move this energy without yelling at everybody, or, you know, sinking a six-pack to just feel relaxed once again.
Yep.
So those things.
Yeah, I see it in my friends when I see the frown on their face, the tension in their bodies, that wood element, that frustration, that resentment. I said, just go punch a bag
Yeah.
and just get it out.
That's it. Wouldn't it?
Because a lot of it's in the body. You just get to, go for a run up a mountain and lose your breath and you go, wow, I've got a new life right now.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Okay, I love this. We're going to finalize it with the fire element, the flowering of our heart. The sun is open. You got lots of fire there. When I first saw you, you were just popping around like a beautiful butterfly, going, yes, I found the next best thing, Zenthai. And you've been a great gift for this community.
Yeah.
So where else does it show out in your life other than that passion that you have?
Yeah, big passion. It shows up in my life with a lot of excitability. Like I like to be up there and in that kind of high energy, summer kind of vibes, the party. It comes out in the social, like I love relationships. It's really big for me and just cultivating good relationships with people. Like
She loves connecting, doesn't she?
I do.
Yeah, everyone in the audience is going, yes. They all want to take Sally home in their suitcase.
I want to take them all home. Yeah, and for me, I think a really big thing is just to make things fun.
Yeah.
Like we can get really serious and really closed down. I mean, it's good to be serious, and I think that's been a bit of my lesson is, got to take some things a little bit more seriously.
Yeah.
But for me, it just shows up in I really want to make everything fun. I want to make the experiences that I have, joyful and meaningful in some way. So, I'm not going to avoid the hard times. But for me, it's not just relationships with people, but those hard times bring me back into the relationship I have with myself and going, wow, like this is fear or this is anger or this is grief or, this is an injury. And it's really this joyful experience where I can learn about myself a lot more and create a deeper connection with who I am. Like that's massive for me.
I hear that, yeah. I love this line of Alan Watts. He says to care deeply, put all your love into it, put your whole passion into it, but love lightly. Because it all moves. It's all moving through an empty sky. So can we love lightly knowing that it could be different in another day? Love is, as it said, perennial as the grass. So we want to put our whole heart into it with all the grasping that can sometimes be quite heavy, can be challenging. I love that. And then like we have a big disconnect at the moment with all the devices that sort of make us connect to a screen rather than to the physicality, which I feel why Zenthai is so alive, that we actually get to touch people and see people and hear people without judging them. Is there anything else you feel like people have a problem with other than that disassociation that's quite rank at the moment, other than that?
Other than that, look, you just see people looking for the big, great experiences.
The big rush.
Yeah, the big rush. And it's like, we want to find the fire and the spark because with this disconnection, we've lost the internal spark. So we're going, what I say in my classes, it's like the sex, drugs, and rock and roll to try and bring that spark back. And, it doesn't have to be that. Sometimes those big, big experiences that are outer worldly comes in plant medicine or sometimes in breath work. And it's this real clutching on to I have to have the greatest and the biggest and the most expansive experience all the time. And, people are hunting that consciously, but it also comes through, stimulants. I used to love coffee and red cordial and things that made me feel hyperactive because I thought that was joy. And then I was happy and joyful and fun. And then next minute I'm crashed and I don't have any fire left. So I see that a lot in the world, in this, and it's like, a real lack of self-love, and that comparative story.
Yes,
and,
I hear that.
Yeah, focusing so much on what are other people doing? How are other people living? Look at that, they're living the life. And we're starting to take the love and the appreciation out and putting it externally. And it's really, I feel like the journey of the fire element is to remember that all of that is within. That spirit, that love, that everything that you can touch outside and makes you feel good or happy or full or joyful, you can find it within here. And it's the big journey that, you know, the new generations coming through are really going to have to step up in.
Yeah, I really hear that. Maybe it's a good moment if you're not driving your car right now, if you're sitting, just to bring your left hand to your heart and just connect to where the love is really, really, really derives from, this center. Again, Thich Nhat Hanh, in is the way out. If we want to move out with passion and impact and care, it needs to come from this love in. And I really hear that. It gets missed quite often. And so, yeah, love thyself. What a great line. Oh, I really hear that. And I hear this big rush. This is why I see insomnia of every second client, because it's the big rush. All the yang rises up and then it gets trapped. And you go, well, no wonder why you can't sleep, you know, because it's all sitting up here in our heads and our shoulders and our tension and the next big thing. So maybe just that being okay with this big, long, spacious gap that's devoted to God. So good to see you smiling. Hope you're smiling on the other side of this podcast, guys. I'm smiling here. Before we, actually, I'm gonna finish with you, and then we're gonna throw it to the audience for some last questions. The last thing I thought I would come to you with the empty, empty, happy, happy. We've had a look at the 5 elements, and we know, and I love how people likes to play in it. They like to see it. They like to see how they relate to it. They put themselves in it, and I really feel that's quite fascinating because it allows you to understand it. The flip side of that is they want to put themselves in a box, in a category, give themselves a prescription. I am a water element and these are the things I need, and how that can be very, very out of context of what Chinese medicine is, because we are the elements weaving in and out and through, and they're all alive in us right now in everything we do. So on that, in this present day, we've spoken a little bit. Do you feel that there's one element that's like standing out? I'm not saying that it stands out alone, but standing out as an element that, as a culture of Western people, it'd be good to have a good just check in on? We've spoken about quite a few things here.
Gosh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
'Cause you could bring it into any, but look, to be honest, I'd probably lean mostly towards the water and the fire.
Well, I think so too. I hear,
Yeah.
that's what I hear. The chaos of the fire, and how do we bring the water in to support that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So bringing the so we're in a state where the fire's a bit out of control. We're disassociated, not just from our friends and our family and those connections, but we're disassociated from the connection with ourselves and that inward connection. And if we bring in the grandmother cycle, you know, the big loving grandma, she's always got extra energy for the kids, especially if mum's super tired. So yeah, bringing in that water element and really
Silence.
Yes.
Gentleness.
meditation, and that doesn't have to be sitting still, but yeah, really bringing that sense of restfulness and calmness. And I love, you know, the Tao Te Ching, where they say water's greatest strength is its softness. To start moving back into this world of softness where instead of being sensitive and overly stimulated, we can start to be receptive. And then we're receptive to life. And then, you know, really the water element, it holds our truth. It holds our essence and our greatest potential. So to start quieting the noise, you know, turning off devices, letting the stimulation system come back into rest and regeneration and healing, yeah, because their body can heal itself. And the amount of therapies and doctors and things and modalities out there really speaks to how much our body is not healing itself.
Oh.
So to, yeah, step into that water element, come back to your truth and have the courage to live it, which is big. It's big in this world with lots of, you know, judgment and cameras everywhere and fingers pointing and influencers and all of that. You know, come back to the silence, quit the noise,
Yep.
and really get curious into seeking out what is your truth. And when you find it, get passionate about it, and get passionate about relationships, and get passionate about connection.
I love it. I felt like you were teaching yoga right then. Quieten the noise so we can clearly see. Yeah, stay curious, huh?
Stay curious.
I keep asking questions, guys. Keep coming. The world of possibility should not be confined by your conditioned mind. Let your mind expand to feel or tap into the world of unlimited possibility. So I think that's a great way to step into being happy.
I reckon too.
Empty. So thank you so much, Sal. I'm going to close my conversation with you here, and then I'm going to open up a conversation with these beautiful faces in front of you, because I'm sure there's some great questions. But empty, and happy.
Happy. Thanks so much, Quinn.
This is Mountain Bear Tuan here. We probably have about 5 minutes of live questions, so it might be 1 or 2 questions. So does anyone want to go first? And Yelling, just need to hold the mic here.
Yeah, I'm very inspired by Gwynny. I was out on the surf a couple hours ago just watching. I'm like, wow, this man, he's just so aligned in his Dhamma and the way he has taken action on his dreams. If he didn't take action on these dreams, none of us would be here. I'm so inspired. I know within myself, I'm a big dreamer, but sometimes I get blocked from taking actions on my dreams. So through the lens of the elements, what could be blocking us from taking action on our dreams?
Oh, that's a good question.
It's a great question, yeah.
Look, to be honest, I'd say it can be the earth story of I'm not enough, you know, because we dream big, yeah? Some people dream small, but if you've got big dreams, like what I hear a lot with, you know, graduating students and even people, you know, not just from Zenthai, but yoga and stuff, it's this imposter syndrome of, oh, I'm not the greatest, so therefore, who am I to be able to do that? So I'd say imposter syndrome and not believing in yourself is generally the biggest block, yeah? Because we see so much greatness and so much comparison comes in there, where it's like, oh, they're so much better, Quinn's so much more poetic, you know, Lucy's so much more precise and poetic as well. You know, who am I to teach yoga? So I think it's coming into the earth and nourishing yourself and really celebrating who you are. And remember that the more you do it, the more you become it. So by sitting in that fear and that frozen of the imposter syndrome, which is water, you know, we want to step back to the grandmother, which is the earth, and get solid in yourself. And, you know, it's funny, it's like believe in yourself. We often say, oh, I believe in fairies because not everyone sees them or something. We can all see you. You guys are all very real. So start believing in yourself because you are real. You're not a made up imaginary thing that we've all created. You're a real substance on this earth and you've got a real gift to bring in. So I'd say to people, turn to the earth, you know, come back to that stillness, quiet the mind. Because, you know, the mind is tricky. And in the evolution, we've been gifted mind, but mind often cuts us off from the root of our potential and our desires and our dreams. So, you know, get good with your mind. And when those stories come up, you sit with them, you know, and bring that compassion, bring that sense of sweetness back into yourself, and then drive, you know, really believe in yourself. I'd say that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, it's great. You've nearly nailed everyone. Everything is a small step. So there's a small step. So I've loved all the small steps on the way, and there's going to be so much adversity. People will have knocked me down. People have criticized me. I've had circumstances come up and be blocks. I say, nah, I'm believing in myself. This is my path, and you find yourself, you find your path. I say, find a path that has heart, and then you walk it impeccably. And not to say it's an easy road, but you walk impeccably, and it'll happen. But there's small steps, and it needs a small plan. But it's great. It's great to see. Yogananda said, be around an environment that supports that. Be around the people that inspire you to do that. It's like if you're just gonna want that, but you're just gonna sit in eating popcorn and watching, cartoons or useless movies or news, it's not gonna happen. Be around the environment. Yeah.
At the end of the day, we give thanks and pray for all the blessings that have come.